What is going on, beautiful people? We are about to get into Joe Rogan is shocked to learn about Thomas Sowell's wisdom.
So, do you know Thomas Sowell?
I know that name. Why do I know that name?
Thomas Sowell is a big, famous conservative. He's at Stanford. He's at the Hoover Institute, I think. Anyway, so, within this, first, just to set all this up, we should set up briefly, how does culture work, right? And the way culture works is that it, like genetic evolution, it works based on blind copying. So what ends up happening is that you are in awe of people, right? You look up to people, and so you blindly copy the things they do. And specifically, you start by blindly copying from the outside, and then you work in. Thomas Sowell is a black guy, right? Okay. And Thomas Sowell has, for years and years and years, been trying to fight racism. But he's been trying to fight racism by having a conversation about culture. Right? And the fact that there are essentially two different sort of, we're speaking broadly here, right? But this is for the purposes of communication. We're going to tell a simple story to start off with, right? So broadly speaking, he puts two different cultures of people with dark skin next to each other. And one culture is these people from the West Indies. And one culture is this group of people who grew up in the South with slavery and all that sort of stuff. Now, what one group, the West Indies group, does really well. So a lot of the successful black people like Colin Powell, are originally from that cultural heritage. The other group is the group that you find in ghettos and African American communities and all of that sort of stuff. They don't do well, right? They don't get good education. They, shoot each other. There are all these sorts of things. And the reason why Sowell has been telling this story is because he's been trying to say, when liberals look at the people in ghettos, they say, racism. That's why they're not succeeding. And Sowell is saying, no, it's not. Because if you look at this group from the West Indies, they also came from the experience of slavery. There was slavery in the West Indies. They are also black, so they also face racism, and yet they do well. So it has to be something else. And that other thing is the fact that these black people who are in the South, there's always been a big question, were black people robbed of their culture? Or did they preserve their authentic African culture? And what Sowell is saying is that they were robbed of their culture, and so they picked up the culture of the people around them. And the people around them were rednecks. And if you look at the white redneck culture and the black redneck culture, they have a lot of the same values. They don't particularly respect education. They love Jesus. They use violence in their conflicts.
This is blowing my mind, the way he putting all this information together, based on so much information that Thomas Sowell gives. This is crazy.
And they, there's just, a lot of the same values and a lot of the same outcomes. And even Ebonics, which is, black English, is actually all from the west of England. So it's actually this.
What?
It's from the west of England. So, for example, if you go to places like Cornwall, there used to be these amazing ads on British TV, right, for this Devon custard or whatever, and they would always say, Devon knows how they make it so creamy, and they all talk like this, right? And so it doesn't sound like black English, but they do say things like, I be doing that, and we be doing this, and you be doing that, and they be doing that. And so there's that use of that copula be, right, where instead of saying I am, you are, he is, she is, they are, they just say I be, you be, we be, they be, which is the classic feature of black English, African American vernacular English. Right. Now, the point is that
Mind blower.
Now, let's imagine that. How do you think that Thomas Sowell has been received by liberal America? Not well. Not well. And so, for example, Sowell has a book called Black Rednecks, White Liberals. Okay? And his whole point is that, if you actually, and again, like Sowell is, he researches the shit out of this stuff. He really does his work. Now, if you look at the experience of African Americans,
did I not say that in one of my previous reactions on Thomas Sowell? Not only is this man just brave, not only does he have the courage to go against his own people for the betterment, though. It's not based off feeling. It's based off the work and the research. It's crazy.
Sowell is, he researches the shit out of this stuff. He really does his work. Now, if you look at the experience of African Americans after slavery, they start to make real progress, right? And a large part of the reason why they make progress is because you start to get a lot of people from New England, either, black people from New England or white people from New England, who come down and sort of reshape the culture. They create these schools, and they're teaching those New England values, right? It's those Puritan values of hard work, tenacity, all of that sort of stuff. And so there's all this progress. And you have people like Booker T. Washington. And Booker T. Washington was an actual slave. And then after he got his freedom, he got to go work in a salt mine, which is literally the worst job ever. And in Booker T. Washington's Up From Slavery, he tells this great story about seeing a schoolhouse, right? And that, he thought that going into a schoolhouse was about as close to heaven on earth as you could get. Wow. Like, this is a dude who wanted an education really, really badly. And that's a lot of what you find in the, early black experience in, the post-slavery period. And in fact, blacks, before sort of World War II actually had higher rates of marriage than whites. All of these sorts of things that, are now supposedly a problem. And then there's this turnaround, right? The black experience starts to go south, right? It starts to get worse.
And what year is this around?
This is post-World War II, right? So
post-slavery, black people experience a rebounding.
They're starting to make some progress. There's ambition.
Progress.
Yeah. And I mean, if in terms of books to read, like, because a large part of what I'm trying to do in general is really let's move to the place of all people are created equal. Like, let's remove all these stupid distinctions, right, and really live that principle. And the problem is that in order to really live that principle, you need a new narrative that beats slavery. So, it's not, if you go and talk to racists, you can't just say racism is bad. Like, that doesn't destroy racism, right? What destroys racism is when you make sense of the things that they know, right? They see, people who are violent in the ghettos, or they see crime, or they see a lack of education, or they see that Africa is poor. And you're able to tell a better story that makes sense of the things that they know, but also comes out with the conclusion, oh, we actually all have the same potential.
Wow. That man, he gave a great analysis. No lie. Dog gave a great analysis. I am your girl InAVeeCoop, down piece in the InAVeeCoop to be exact. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. All that good stuff, man. Come over to the Coop Troop Live. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you can know when we're on. All right, and if you feel like donating, if you're feeling generous, check out the information right above my head. Feel free to donate. Donos are accepted, not requested. Okay, and check out the video that's popping up on your screen right now, as well as my other Thomas Sowell videos. If you want to check out the behind the scenes, the exclusivities, everything I got going on, hit the join button below, as well as also you have the option to become a Patreon member with the information that's in the description. All right, till next time, thank you for joining.